Hey everybody, how's it going? This is going to be a mixed breakdown of my new EP, By the Horns, by my side project, Nest of Scum. I say side project, it's basically my main project. It is brutal, groovy, fast, crazy, technical, non-technical, caveman death metal. If you like that kind of thing, check out the links below. It's on Spotify, Apple Music and all that, and Bandcamp. Have a listen if you like that kind of thing. So let's get right into it. This is Burning Sires, the second track off the EP. I'll play a little bit of it and break down what's going on. So that's Burning Sires, the second track. And they're all my favorites. I'm not going to say it's my favorite, but it's a very brutal kind of, you know, it's got melody and it's got a basic sort of pop song structure to it. So it does stick out as one of the more sort of catchy tracks, if that's a thing in death metal. And I'm going to break down what's going on, guys. I'll get straight into it. I might go with the vocals first. So what I've got going on here is a pretty basic chain. You've seen this kind of thing before. I'm going to say that quite a few times in the video. You've seen this kind of thing before because it's true. I've done a few things differently and some of the things I can't really remember what I used. So this is going to be a bit of a discovery for me as well. Re-Q. I'm high passing to about 347. When I do vocals, I go handheld. I'm using a condenser microphone on this. This is the MPM 1000 by Marantz. It's a very cheap condenser, not super cheap, it's like 50, 60 quid or something. I haven't actually checked the price on it for a few years, but it's great. It sounds a lot like a Rode NT1A. You know, it's got a nice top on it, it's very smooth mid-range. It's well built, you know, nice and heavy in the hands. I do have a wind guard on the microphone and I'm going handheld with a condenser, which is a bit of a no-no, but it sounds good to me. And for the roaring vocals, you know, I'm pretty close to the mic. For the screaming stuff, I back off a little bit. I don't use headphones. I use my monitors nice and loud in the room to get a vibe going. So there's a bit of bleed, but in the track, I mean, you can't hear it at all, really. I'll show you the soloed vocals later. Little dip here at 1K just to get rid of the honky sort of duck frequency out of the voice. And I see a lot of people, you know, low passing vocals. So I'm just low passing to about 12K. And it does take off some of the detail you just don't need, really. Anything above here, you know, it's just not going to be audible, to be quite honest. This isn't, you know, a Mariah Carey style song. This is death metal. Right, Express and Nuke by Kive Audio. This is a free plugin they put out quite a while back, and it's just a great simple compressor, and it has a fantastic sound and vibe to it. I really don't know what's going on under the hood, but you've got input controls, output controls, you can auto gain, so you can link these, and you've got a release control. You've got high pass function there and oversampling, that kind of thing. But yeah, I just put it to fast, crank it really high, and it just gives me the sound I like. The vocals are very in your face. It's a very fast release, so it's picking up a lot of detail. And because I'm using the condenser mic, it just gives you a slightly more detailed sound, which is what I wanted for this. I wanted this to sound as good as I could get it, while still being like filthy death metal. DSs, this is the built-in JS de-esser that you get with Reaper. I've got 2 of them stacked. It just sounds good to me. I don't feel the need to buy any other de-esser. This just sounds good for me. Head Crusher free, just my favorite, you know, distortion saturation plugin by Audio Assault. It's totally free, and it just makes you sound bigger. It makes you sound almost like there's like 2 people roaring. It just sounds really cool. Here are all the settings. It's fairly moderate. And then the analog rack delay, I've got this on certain parts like the choruses and certain parts just to give a bit more vibe or a little bit more impact to things. And I'm automating that on and off on the track. Right, bass, very, very, very important. I use a Squier Jaguar bass. It's all stock going through this chain, and it's just a growling monster like straight away. So I've got it going through BOD or BOD by TSE. You've seen this a million times. Here are my settings. EQ, I'm scooping it, like controlling the low end below like 80. Yeah, just, you know, you don't need that super subby low stuff on bass. You don't need like tons of it. I want it to be tight and thunderous, and this seems to be the way to go for me, for my mixes. Just controlling some of the top end above 5K and compressing it. You know, you'll see in a bit, I'm only reducing about like 2 or 3 dB, like at the most, because BOD really controls it very well. Then I'm running a parallel track. This is the same bass performance here, copied and pasted onto another track. So it's not 2 separate bass tracks, it's the same one, copied and pasted. And I've got Mockafix No Amp. This is a guitar Sans Amp copy. It works really well. It's just that great all-in-one sound done really well in this plugin. This is an old plugin, and it is Windows only. You know, sorry for you Mac guys, but it's one of my favorite sort of distorted bass tones. It's, you know, it's on British, center, high gain. It just does the trick. EQ, pretty much like how you would do like a guitar or a lead guitar. It's just mids, really. And compressor is just a safety net. It's barely touching this thing. Right, guitars. I'll start with the rhythms. You've seen all this stuff before. Effects silencer is a gate. I don't usually run a gate on finished projects. I usually, you know, just chop out the silencers, which you can see at the beginning there. Yeah, like on the bass, like where it's not playing, I'll just cut it out because it just makes sense, you know. Unless you're going for that like filthy, dirty, super raw live vibe, which I'm not going for here. But it's nice to have a gate on there, you know, on the guitars, kind of like, just like a safety net again. Right, to boost, I'm using the NA808 because it is just my favorite boost for this kind of like super crazy tight death metal. I do have the Shoeless drive, but it's not quite as tight as this. And on this particular song, I'm in drop G sharp. And anyone who tunes that low with a lot of distortion, you know that you need as much help as you can get when it comes to tightness. And I'm going into Blades by Vitar Amps. This is just my favorite paid amp sim. It's just one of the best sounding, you know, ever. And this is an older version, 1.9. Yeah, it just slays. It's just so punchy, clear, like aggressive. You know, you can scoop the hell out of it. It sounds great. You can boost the mids and get that sort of clanky modern thing as well. Any sound you want, really, it just nails it, and it's just so aggro. You can hear it on the track. It's just got that aggressive, fantastic sound. Pulse, I'm going into New Old Dude. You know, again, like this is a newer thing I made of an old IR from an Engel cab I got years ago, a free one, and Res Barefoot 1, it is a 50-50 blend, and it just slays. Fantastic IR, all linked below. ReEQ. You've seen all this stuff before, high pass, low pass, because we're not savages. And I'm high passing to 100 hertz. I usually high pass higher than this, but I've noticed recently I could do with a little bit more like thump, a little bit more unpredictable low end, just a little bit more. I usually go between 100 and 120. It depends on the song, depends on the mix. And I'm reducing here at 300. I do that I'm pretty much across the board on everything. And reducing at 4K, again, you know, it just keeps things clean. And this EQ here, I think was for a lo-fi moment. Yeah, on one of the tracks, Insanity's Wake, I just turn that on. That's just automated on and off. That's not on this track. Second track is pretty much the same except for the IR. Blades might be set a little bit different to compensate. And I'm going through Super Brutal number 1. This is just a really good companion to New Old Dude. So New Old Dude is on my right. Super Brutal number 1 is on the left. Yeah, and it's just a brutal, nice, wide combination. If you have like the same sound either side, you know, it still sounds wide, but if you have a slightly different sound either side, makes it sound a lot wider. Re-EQ, same, pretty much exactly the same, I think. Might have less 4K, I'm not sure. Okay, on the bus. So on Reaper, I'm using that folder function so you can get tracks going through this. So this just acts like a master bus for the guitars. I've got TDR Nova, just the best free EQ plugin like ever. It's not just an EQ, it's a multi-band compressor and all that. What I've got going on here, a further high pass at 100 hertz, because on the tracks, using re-EQ, I find even if you high pass, it doesn't quite get rid of like all of the low frequency down there. It seems to still have some, you know, mud and sub down there. So if I do a further high pass on Nova, it really lobs everything off, keeping it tight, giving me what I want. And I'm doing the Andy Sneap trick here at 200 hertz, just taming those low mids. So when you're doing super chugs, it just dips here by about, you know, 2, maybe even 3 dB, nothing crazy. And there was some harsh horribleness at 3.5K, and I'm dipping that by 3 dB. You know, nothing too crazy. Just using my ears and making sure it fits in the mix. Lead guitar. Now, this is a preset from a previous Nest of Scum, I think. And I'm using Teaser by Vadim Taranov, another fantastic amp sim. This particular amp has a very like dense mid-range. The low mids, the mid-mids, and the high mids are all represented very evenly, so it definitely lends itself to lead guitar. It pokes out the mix really well. As you can see, I've got the mids reduced here, but it's still cutting really well. Just the tone, the sustain, the gain character is just exactly what I wanted here. It's being boosted by NA828, slightly smoother setting there on the tone. And I'm going through Red Giant number 3. This is another IR of mine linked below. I just really like the sound of this particular IR in this mix. This is of a Celestion Redback. You know, it's in a Zilla cab. It's a completely different sound to New Old Dude and Super Brutal. I'm widening it slightly. I'm putting some chorus on it with the Mercurial Chorus. If you don't have this plugin, guys, this is fantastic. Whack it on lead guitar. And, you know, you don't have to use it as a chorus. Just use it as like a stereo widener thing. Put it, you know, if you've got a lead guitar going up the middle and you put this on and then sort of mess with the mix control here, it's just magic. EQ, high pass, low pass, cutting out some 4K as usual, and I am scooping it slightly. Yeah, I forgot that I did that. I'm scooping it 800 odd hertz. Yeah, just sounded right to me, guys. I mean, like, this is a big no-no for a lot of mixers. Like, you genty modern guys, you know, you're probably having a bit of a heart attack at this point, but, you know, it sounded right for the mix. So don't be afraid to use your ears and go for what you're going for, guys. Seriously. And the Nembrini analog rack delay for the lead. You know, this is one of my top 2 or 3 choices for delay. It's just really nice. It gives you a bit of vibe. It stays out the way. It doesn't have that sort of toppy digital thing going on. It's very analog. Trails off really nicely. And I'm pretty sure that's on the whole time. Yeah, it's not automated on and off. Right, drums. What do we got? Ugratone. This is kind of like a custom kit I put together. Or is it? No, this is Riot Drums, the updated version from a few years ago. And it's the Start New Riot preset. But I'm pretty sure, yeah, I changed the snare to one from Tight Studio Drums. This is the Ludwig Superphonic. Let's go to the effects. Yeah, everything's pretty much straight, but I turned the comp up like quite high to get that really roomy, cracky snare. There is a massive trend in drum plugins, guys, I'm sure you've noticed, where the snares, you know, are very, you know, they sound great, you know, all the drums sound great and everything, but the snares just sound like, you know, you're hitting like a wooden box. There's just no life to the snare. But if you listen to this snare, like that's how a fucking snare should sound. It should be like crack and you can hear some room. These are very roomy drums, I will admit that. In a lot of drum plugins, there's just not enough vibe on the snare. And it's such a shame that Ugertone are closing shop soon. It's such a shame because Ugertone just don't do what other drum companies do. The humanization on these as well is just second to none. You know, this switch here, put it to like 40-50%. And it just sounds like a real drummer, it really does. I mean, like the best drummer in the world, obviously, like a perfect drummer, but you know, nonetheless, I mean, just the best humanization out of any plugin. Such a shame, what a loss. Rest in peace, Ugertone. And get this kit, guys, it sounds great. Compression, yeah, I'm compressing a little bit just to even out the kit, really. It's like 2 or 3 dB, it sort of slaps down the snare, gives it a bit more punch, but it's more just to even everything out. And this Epic Clouds is for the end track, Death Spiral. It's just got this super vibey, like ominous sounding trails, and you know, and the decay's like super long. So that's what you hear at the end of Death Spiral. I just have that on like the last hit. Right, I like you hear sort of everything soloed out. So here are the drums. We'll go to a cool bit. I might go to the first track actually, because there's some cool stuff going on here. So that's the kind of thing I like, especially for the end of a song. You know, very busy, a lot of different cymbals being used, a lot of different hits. And as you can see, guys, I put a lot of work into programming my drums. There is a bit of copy and pasting going on, but I check pretty much every bar, every section, so to speak, for the vibe and getting exactly what I want. Here are the guitars. What's a good guitar song? I go to Insanity's Wake, actually. So here's a section of Insanity's Wake, track 5. So as you can hear, guys, the guitars are, you know, tight. I play tight. I don't want the guitars to be absolutely perfect because I'm not in a modern metalcore or deathcore band. I want it to sound kind of raw and slightly loose. It has to be well played and sound human. It's a strange line to tread, but that's what I'm going after. I want it to sound like human beings playing music because I'm up against it. You know, I'm using robotic drums. But the guitars, bass, and the vocals are me, so most of what you're hearing is human. There's a massive trend of people using MIDI bass, and yeah, I get it. You don't want to buy a bass, you don't want to buy an expensive bass and have to put strings on it all the time. Yeah, I get that, but like seriously, guys, get a half decent bass. You know, you can get amazing stuff from Squire, Ibanez, etc., Schecter. Just buy it, put in a little bit of time, and play the bass. You know, we should have more people doing that. That'd be great. Lead guitar, not sure what my favorite solo is actually, but there's a good one in, is it Death Spiral? Let's have a go. Yeah, kind of an over-the-top, silly sound, and I'm using my Kiesel Aries with the Floyd Rose, just like a screaming, wild guitar, and yeah, I achieved a lead tone I quite like there. It's very lively, it's what I enjoy. And then the vocals soloed, not sure what my best performance is, to be honest. Ooh, let's have a look. Maybe Insanity's Wake. This is pretty good. So I'll play some vocals here for you. Have a good laugh. Insanity's Wake, it was very much about, you know, a person going crazy and killing a bunch of people. You know, good old death metal stuff. So you'll hear some of the vocals are dry and some of them have delay on. So let's go.
Deep inside my mind, I hear the darkness creep, roaming in the quiet, possible to sleep. Sanity affects a third thing at the seeds, hear the seeds. Lost within chaos, the taste of breaking, drowning in my dreams, killing my sanity. In this, all the chaos I will kill, I will not cheat with you. Reborn in the fury. Ding dong, the clock is winding down. Voices in my ear, they scream and shine. Tick tock, the pressure is building high. On the edge of madness, I cannot deny.
So as you can hear there, guys, it is crushed. It is slammed by the compressor. But, you know, this microphone going through this compressor, you can just hear all the detail, you know, all the super high screams, everything down to the guttural, like, kind of stuff, you know. And yeah, that song is pretty crazy. So, you know, the vocals are sort of all over the place, which is what I was going for. And the master track, guys, thanks for sticking around this long as well, guys. I really appreciate it. So yeah, you've seen this all a million times. I will link my mastering video below. I've got a couple of them and this chain is pretty much the same. So yeah, re-EQ, JS Exciter, this is all explained in those videos. If you want help with your mastering or you want some, you know, new stuff that you think you should check out, or if you want to try some new plugins that are completely free in Reaper, you know, this is all really good stuff. React comp for the low end, boosting a bit level here with the digital versatile compressor, but it's not actually compressing. Eventizer limiter clipper, this is all just fantastic stuff for free. If you don't use this stuff, guys, maybe give it a try. Master limiter and Mojo. This is the only plugin in the master chain that is not from Reaper. It is from Air Windows, but it's completely free, direct downloaded on the site. It's like the simplest plugin ever. And this just makes your mix jump out the speakers. You know, people talk about Oxford Inflator, just, you know, just making your mix sound bigger and more like finished or analog or whatever. Like this is my plugin to achieve that. It is that sort of secret sauce plugin, and it's amazing. And then Restream going into OBS. So that is about it, guys. Check out By the Horns below. It is on pretty much every streaming platform and on Bandcamp if you want to download it. So get some death metal, guys. Have a great day. See you soon. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. And subscribe if you want to see more metal-related stuff. I'll be back sometime with a video on something else. So until then, ciao.